Our group, Kalyan, Monica, and Anand, will be presenting about the historical figures of Chapter 1 in A Brief History of Japan. Hi, my name is Kalyan, and I will be playing Izanagi and tell you about my story along with my wife's Izanami's story. I am Izanagi, the great creator of the islands of Japan, and I'm here to tell you about my story. Standing on the bridge between heaven and earth, my wife Izanami and I weld our jewel spear and churn the waters of the sea. We created some of the first islands of Japan using the sacred waters from our spear, where we would reside. After descending to the islands, Izanami and I decided to get married. We planned our wedding ceremony where we approached each other in a circle around the pillar of heaven to greet each other. We were so in love with each other and wanted to bring our babies into the world. Unfortunately, our first two children were deformed. It broke my heart. We were left with no option but to disown them. My wife and I were devastated and could not understand what happened and why this was happening to us. We wanted closure and guidance, and so we burned the bones of our disowned children in order to seek advice from our divine ancestors. We learned from our ancestors that we broke traditional wedding ceremony rules. Izanami spoke during the greeting in the wedding ceremony first, something we learned a woman is never supposed to do. We had to make up our wrongdoings, so we restaged the wedding, but this time I spoke first. Our wedding went perfectly and smoothly the second time, and our unity gave birth to a set of islands, the prehistoric Kyushu and its surrounding area, the inland sea and lower Honshu, and also a number of gods. However, my wife tragically died while giving birth to our last godchild, Kagusuchi. As you guys may know him as the incarnation of fire. I was devastated. I loved her and I needed her back. I needed her body back in case she would magically spring back to life from the dead. But I did not have her body. Her body was in Yomi, the land of the dead, and I needed to go there and retrieve the body. And so I began my quest to Yomi to seek her dead body. Once I reached Yomi, my dead wife told me it was already too late. Izanami had already dined in Yomi, and it's a rule that I could only retrieve her body if she had not eaten anything. I could not accept this. I went through all my efforts on this quest, and I had to get her body back. I could not take no for an answer. I lit up my torch to see for myself if it was already too late. I could not believe my eyes. In front of me, the dead body of my wife, decaying, crawling with maggots, and skin peeled off to look like thunder, revealed itself to me. It has been too late, indeed. Then, the undead warriors and the 8 gods of thunder start pursuing after me. I look back and I see my dead wife, too, pursuing me. What has happened to my poor wife? The woman I loved. She's no longer the same. I had to escape, and I need to run fast. And I had to run faster. I threw things off of me that were slowing me down. I threw in my possessions, creating many ancient landmarks along the way, which now are either forgotten or don't exist anymore. Once I escaped, I shut the only path in and out of Yomi with a boulder, trapping my wife's dead spirit inside. I had successfully escaped. But that was not the end of it. She made a threat to me that if I didn't unblock her path, she would curse 1,000 mortals to die every day. I could not give in to this threat. Who does she think I am? I had to counter this threat, and that's exactly what I did. I arranged even more births, 1,500 births a day. Even after my failed quest to Yomi to retrieve my wife's dead body, I still continued to produce many gods. I produced the sun goddess Amaterasu and the moon god Tsukiyomi by washing my eyes in a stream, and the storm god Susano, who's such a naughty little fellow, by blowing my nose. But most importantly, with my counter threat to Izanami, I created the cycle of human life and the growth of human society.
Hi, my name is Monica, and I will be playing the god Susano O for this chapter. My life started when Izanagi blew his nose and created me, the magnificent storm god. My father has given me a realm to rule over, thinking that would have made me happy. But how can I be happy when I've never even met my mother? I've been weeping and yearning for days, but my cruel father does not care and banished me off to the unknown. As I was saying goodbye to my sister, Amaterasu, we decided to have one last contest over who can create the most divinities. This was meant to be friendly, but eventually one thing led to another and it became a serious competition. I went too far, which I didn't realize at that time, and let some horses run wild on her rice paddies. I also defecated under her throne just before the harvesting of the first fruits. And I didn't even stop there. I also decided to rip a hole in the roof of her weaving hall and throw in a skinned pony corpse. I know I should have known better, but this unfortunately caused my sister to go into seclusion. Once my sister was lured out of her cave, I decided I wanted to leave, and on my way out to see her, I was banished, which was hardly a punishment, anyways, since I was leaving. No one is allowed to mess with me, so I decided to murder a fertility goddess on my way out and scatter the grounds with grains to leave a mess for them to handle. I didn't know where to go, so I decided to wreak havoc on Earth. While on Earth, I met an old couple that offered me one of their daughters in exchange for slaying an 8-tailed dragon. I don't know why I accepted this challenge because I knew it would be extremely difficult, but nothing is a match for the mighty Susanoo. I knew I could outsmart this dragon, so I decided to brew a strong rice wine 8 times, which would drunken the dragon so much that it will be really easy to defeat it. After executing this plan to the dot, while I was ripping open the corpse of the dragon, I found a sword in its tail, the sword of the gathering of clouds of heaven. I thought to myself this would be a great apology offer for Amaterasu, as I really wanted to make some amends with her, and so I did.
I am Amaterasu, the sun goddess. My father, Izanagi, had many children, including the storm god Susanoo. I was born because my father washed his eyes in a stream, along with Tsukiyomi, the moon god. Tsukiyomi and I had a falling out when he killed the goddess of food, and I didn't want to be associated with him, separating day and night forever. My brother Susanoo is a real troublemaker. Izanagi banished him because he wants to meet his mother. On his way out, he decides to visit me. He challenges me to see who could create the most divinities, and at first I thought it was a healthy competition, but he took it way too far. He ruins everything I had: my horses, my throne, and my house. My brother is the worst. I decide to hide him in a cave, sending the world into darkness. Many deities try to lure me out, performing many of my sacred rituals. They also use some of my prized possessions: a sacred mirror that once captured my light, and also my jewel. It doesn't work. However, I hear some dancing outside. What's so interesting now that I've shielded myself from this world? Go outside and I see the terrible female of heaven. Before I can act, I am tied up, never allowed to return to my cave, and the world shines bright again. My brother descends to earth, and he slays an 8-headed dragon by getting it drunk. In its corpse, he finds a sword, and apologizes to me by giving this sword, the sword of the gathering of clouds of heaven. I accept, and I pass it on to my grandson, Ninigi.